Welcome students. Today in this video lecture we are going to discuss about unit 1 of object oriented programming. We'll continue with the unit 1 of object oriented programming, which is about fundamentals of object oriented programming. Okay. So first we'll discuss about C++ as an OOP language, object oriented programming language. So basically C++ is called object oriented programming language because C++ language views a problem in terms of objects involved rather than the procedure for doing it. That means it views the problem in terms of objects. Real world problems are basically classified into objects and the objects are used in the C++. Whereas languages like C, they depend on procedures for doing the programming of the problem. Okay, so basically C++ uses objects as a basic thing for doing the programming. Object oriented programming is always good for writing large business logics and large applications or games. Basically object oriented programming is a good language for basically writing large applications. Okay, and large business logics or games are developed using object oriented programming. OOP is also very much desired for maintenance and long-term support. For maintenance and long-term support also object-oriented programming languages are useful. As I told in the previous lecture also, C++ is not the only object-oriented programming language. You have Java, you have C Sharp.net, you have Python, there are various VB.net, there are various languages which are based on object-oriented programming paradigm. Okay. One of that is C++. So now we are going to discuss about the C++ program structure. Basically C++ program has a header file declaration section, global declaration section, class declaration and method declaration section, main function and method definition section. So these are some of the sections in which a C++ program gets divided into. Header file declaration section will basically include the header files that are required for C++. Global declaration section will declare global variables basically. Class declaration will declare class and method definition section. So the outside class definition methods will have method definition done outside the class. Inside class definition methods will have method definition done within the class. Then you have the main function, and after the main function you have the method definition section again. Okay, main function is basically where the program will start execution. Main is the first line of main will be the first statement that will be executed by the program, for the program basically by the compiler and operating system. Okay, so this is the general structure of a C++ program. In the basically starting we'll be using namespace std. Okay, class will be declared in the class declaration section. Class, let's say example, opening curly brackets, closing curly brackets, semicolon. Within the curly bracket there will be the data members of the class, variables and functions. Class declaration if any along with its member variables and functions. Global variables if any will be after the class. Then the main will start. Main will have a opening curly bracket and closing curly bracket. This is where the execution of program begins basically. The code of the main will be within the main. The last statement of the main will be a return statement. Let's say return 0. Okay, so this is in general a structure of a C++ program. So it has a class, it has a main, it may have global variables, it will be using the namespace std. Okay, so this will be a general structure of a C++ program. Then speaking of the C++ data types, so data types are broadly categorized into user defined data types, fundamental built-in data types and derived data types. User defined data types are further divided into structure, union, class and enumeration. Fundamental built-in data types are integral data types and void and floating point basically. Okay, integral data types are further divided into int and char. floating point are divided into float and double, whereas derived data types are divided into array, function, pointer, and reference. So these are the basically data types of object oriented programming language like C++. Okay. So speaking about the built-in data types, basically char type has a size in bytes as 1 byte. 1 byte means 8 bits. Okay. It has a range of -127 to +127 or 0 to 255. Okay. So if you are taking having a signed value, it will be -2 raised to 7 to +2 raised to 7. Or if you use all the 8 bits for the data, it will be 0 to 2 raised to 8, that is 0 to 255. Okay. Unsigned char is also 1 byte, 8 bits, that means its range is 0 to 2 raised to 8, that is 0 to 255. Int is basically 4 bytes, that means 32 bits. So it has a range of -2 raised to 31 to +2 raised to 31. 1 bit is for sign. Okay, so that is the range of basically integer int type. Okay, unsigned int is also 4 bytes, that is 32 bits, but all of the 32 bits are used to store the data. So the range is from 0 to 2 raised to 32. That comes out to be 4 giga basically. Okay, so that is the range of unsigned int, whereas int is having range of -2 giga to +2 giga. Okay, then short int is basically 2 bytes, that is 8 bits. So that is -2 rather 2 bytes, that is 16 bits, that is -2 raised to 15 to +2 raised to 15. Okay, so that is the range of short int. Unsigned short int is also 2 bytes, that is 16 bits. It is 0 to 2 raised to 16, that is 65k basically. Okay, so that is the range of unsigned short int. Long int is also 4 bytes. Okay, so it is basically having 1 bit for sign. So it is -2 raised to 31 to +2 raised to 31. Okay, so it comes out to be 2 giga to -2 giga to +2 giga. Unsigned long int is again 4 bytes. It is using all the bits 4 bytes, that means it is 32 bits. It is using all of the 32 bits for storing data. So it is 0 to 2 raised to 32. That comes out to be 0 to 4 giga basic. Float is again 4 bytes, that is 8 bits. Rather 4 bytes, that is 32 bits. Okay, so 32 bits, that means it will be having storing basically uh, 8 digits, and 1 will be out of that for the sign. So it is 7 digits will be used out of the 32 bits. 7 digits will be represented using the float. Double is again 8 bytes. Okay, so 8 bytes, that means it will be 8 into 8, that is 64 bits. 64 bits can represent 16 digits, but since one bit is for sign, it will be representing 15 digits. Okay, because every digit normally takes 4 bits to represent a digit using binary. Okay, then the next we'll discuss about derived type. These data types are derived from fundamental data types. So basically data types are derived from fundamental data type. Variables of derived data type allow us to store multiple values of same type in one variable, but never allows to store multiple values of different types. So it allows you to store multiple values of same data type. That example of array of integer values. Okay, int string of 10 elements, square brackets you say 10. It is a array of integers named string and has 10 elements. Another derived type is function, then you have pointer and you have reference. Okay, then speaking about user defined data types, structure defines a new data type with more than one member variable. So basically structure is given by keyword struct, name of the structure, let's say books, opening curly bracket, closing curly bracket, semicolon. Within that the variables which are there of the structure. So in this case the book structure, It is having title, author, subject and book ID. Structure is basically having variables but doesn't have method. So it is little bit similar to a class, but class has methods also along with variables, whereas structure cannot have methods in it. Okay, structure is also available in procedural languages like C also. Okay, so structure can have variables of different data types within it. Okay, basically title is a character array, author is again a character array, subject is a character array, and book ID is of a integer type. Then class is another user defined data type. Class defines a new data type with more than one member variables and member functions. So as I told you, class can contain variable also and methods also, or functions that can be called as member functions. So it contains member variables and member function. For example, this is a class books. How it is given? Keyword class, name of the class books, opening curly bracket, closing curly bracket and semicolon. Then within that there are two variables, title and author. Title is a character array of 50 elements. Author is a character array of 50 elements. Public access specifier, default there is no access specifier, then it will be private. Void get underscore book is a method in the class. Void show underscore book is another method in the class books. Okay, this is how you can basically declare a class. It is a user defined data type which contains variables and functions. Then another data type is enumerations. Okay, so it is another abstract data type. Enumerate, or rather user defined data type. Okay, enumerations are used to define symbolic constants. Enum direction in opening curly bracket, east, west, north, south, closing curly bracket, semicolon. And then in the main, when I say direction dir equal to north, when I display dir, it will display it as 2. So index of the enumeration has been displayed. When I see out, I say see out east, it will display 0. Index of the enumeration in which east is stored. So when I display north, it will display 2. When I display east, it will display 0. This is how enumerations are used in C++. Okay. So another example of enumeration. So we are defining enum gender. Enum name gender. It is having in opening curly brackets male, comma, female, closing curly brackets and semicolon. Creating gender type variable. So gender, name of the enumeration gender, okay, gender enumeration variable rather, and equal to male. Then we say switch gender, and we are having case male, case female and default. So when I say switch gender in this program, it will go into case male and display gender is male. So the output of this program will be gender is male. Okay, this is how you can practically use enum. Okay, so switch is basically like a conditional statement. So basically whatever is passed to switch, according to value of that variable, the case will be executed. Okay, this is a example of enumeration. Okay, where you are also demonstrating the use of a switch case. Okay, so if I had said gender equal to female, in that case it would have gone into case female and displayed gender is female. Okay, so basically depending on the value of the enum gender, basically that way that particular switch case will be executed. If I basically don't basically give out of male and female, I don't properly give a case, then by default the default case will be executed. Okay, it will display value can be male or female. Suppose I say xyz, so it will go into default and see out value can be male or female. So that is a default switch case. When it is not matching with male or female, it will go into default. Okay students, thank you for attending today's video lecture. We'll discuss the next topics in another video lecture. Okay.